Hello, my dear friends. This is Rajesh Mahapatra. I hope all of you are doing well and happiness. In this session, I'll be telling you about the concept of Google CLI Commands detail and how to create a new Linux server using CLI commands. Apart from this, I'll show you in the lab how to stop the VM, start the VM, resume the VM, delete the VM using CLI commands. Let's get started. Guys, these are the following steps that you can follow to create a new VM using CLI commands. First, you go to the GCP console, then active the Cloud Shell, click on Cloud Shell icon and wait for temporary VM is ready to start. Then write your gcloud compute command in command line interface and verify your new instance in the Google Compute Engine service web page. Before we switch to GCP Console Portal, I'll explain more details about all CLI commands so that you can easily understand all the CLI command uses. In Google Cloud Platform, the gcloud command is a command line interface tool provided by Google. It is used to interact with various GCP services and manage resources from the command line. With gcloud, you can perform the tasks such as creating and managing virtual machines, configuring networking, deploying application, and managing and storage and more. Guys, to create a new server instance in Google Cloud Platform using CLI command, you can use the gcloud command, which is the official CLI tool for the GCP. Guys, the some gcloud command likes gcloud auth login, gcloud config set project id. As you can see here, guys, you need to authenticate your user account and authorize the gcloud tool to access the GCP on your behalf. Then run the gcloud auth login command in the command line interface. If you have multiple projects, make sure set the project ID to appropriate one where you want to create the Linux server instance. Then you can run the command gcloud config set project ID in the command line interface. Guys, as you can see here, it creates a new virtual machine instance using the gcloud command as gcloud compute instance create instance name, gcloud compute instance list. This command specifies that list of all the virtual machine instance in the project. And guys, gcloud compute ss instance name. This command specifies that the connect to a virtual machine instance using SSH in the command line interface. The first command, guys, as you can see here, gcloud compute instance create instance name. This command specifies that it create a new virtual machines as per your requirement. Guys, as you can see here, use the gcloud compute instance create command to create the new Linux server instances. Based on your requirement, guys, you can replace your placeholder values with your desired configuration like instance name, image family, image project, machine type and zone. For an example, guys, if you want to add a new name, the name you want to give the new instance, as you can mention the instance name information field. Based on your requirement, guys, you can add the new image family for the Linux distribution like Debian 9, Debian 11, Ubuntu, CentOS, Red Hat Linux. Based on your requirement, guys, you can add the image project ID. That is very important for us to create a new virtual machine for your respective project. Guys, the machine type, like the machine type if you want to add for the instance, and the zone where you want to create the instance, and additional option like, guys, networking configuration, disk size and other advanced settings can be specified if needed. Guys, once the instance is created, you can connect it using SSH secure shell if you have a set of firewall rules to allow the SSH traffic to the instance. Guys, as you can see here, in multiple ways you can create your new Linux server or VM based on your requirement using gcloud commands. Guys, I'll show you in the lab how do you create a new Linux server or VM in multiple ways using the gcloud compute instance command. Guys, as you can see here, some gcloud commands like if you want to find the list of new VM GC, then use the command gcloud compute instance list. If you want to stop the new VM, then use the command like gcloud compute instance stop new VM name. If you want to start the new VM, then use the command gcloud compute instance start VM name. If you want to suspend the new VM, then use the command gcloud compute instance suspend VM name. If you want to resume the new VM, then use the command like gcloud compute instance resume VM name. And similarly guys, if you want to connect the new VM in CLI, then use the command like gcloud compute ssh VM name. If you want to delete the new VM, then use the command gcloud compute instance delete VM name. If you want to know the details about the new VM, then use the command as gcloud compute instance describe VM name. If you add the label to the VM, then use the command like gcloud compute instance add label VM name double hyphen labels key and values. If you want to find the public image list, then use the command gcloud compute image list. Guys, I know you are excited about all the CLI command now. Let's move to the GCP console page, then I'll show you in lab for each CLI command usage. Guys, first of all, go to the GCP console portal and log in with your Google account credential. I already logged into my GCP account as you can see here. Then click on the navigation menu bar, then click on Compute Engine. Then it navigate to the Compute Engine web portal here as you can see here. Then click on refresh button icon here. Guys, as you can see here, there is no new VM is available here. Then click on activate Cloud Shell icon as you can see here. It might take a few moments to start the initialize environment. As you can see here, this is the Cloud Shell command line interface. Guys, now you can click on open in new window. As you can see here, this is the Cloud Shell terminal window guys. Then back to that VM Compute Engine portal and close the Cloud Shell here. Now guys, as you can see here, there is no virtual machine is available here. Then click on Cloud Shell terminal here guys. Then first of all, you need to authenticate your user account and authorize the gcloud tool to access the GCP on your behalf. Then run the gcloud auth login command in the command line interface. Then press enter. Then guys, write Y here, then press enter. As you can see here, this is the new link, and then click on the link, then click on your Gmail ID, then click on allow, and then copy the verification code and paste it in here guys. This is confidential guys. This is the simple step. I'll repeat again. Just you click on this link here. This is the first time you can authenticate your gcloud in Google Cloud Shell command line interface. Then first you click in this link here, then click on your Gmail ID, then click on allow, then copy the verification code and paste the verification code here, then press enter. Guys, already I authenticate my gcloud command in this Cloud Shell interface. Then secondly guys, if you have multiple projects, make sure you set the project ID to appropriate one where you want to create the Linux server instance. I'll show you here. Guys, as you can see here, I have two projects here. One project is my first project, second project is GCP demo project. If I want to create a new virtual server in my first project, then I'll select here and copy the project ID here, guys. Then I'll write a gcloud command to authorize your project ID in Cloud Shell interface. Guys, then navigate to the Cloud Shell interface, and in this command line interface, guys, just write a command like gcloud config set project, then copy your project ID here and just paste in here, Ctrl B and press enter. Then guys, this is the first time it will showing a pop-up like authorize. Click on authorize, then it will execute successfully, and as you can see here, this is your project ID and this is my current present directory, as you can see here, guys. Before I'll create a new virtual server, I'll show you how to find your default region and zone and how to set default zone and region using CLI command. You can view the list of regions and zone. Then I'll show you the command like gcloud compute region list, then press enter. As you can see here, all the regions are showing here in the command line interface, guys. This is South America, North America, Europe West 3, and as you can see here, so more. The Asia East one. And similarly, guys, if you want to view the list of zones, then I will show you in the commands like gcloud compute zone list, then press enter. As you can see here, all the zones are visible in command line interface here. North America, South America, West 1 and so more. Guys, I hope so. Now you can understand how do you visible all the zones and regions using the command line interface. Now guys, you can set the default regions and zone in your local client server, then run the CLI command to create a new virtual server. I'll show you how to set a default zones and region in your local client server. Guys, the command is like that: gcloud config set compute regions or zones, then zone name. Zone and zone name. Then back to here, guys. Then click on create instance. If you want to create a specific zone as per your requirement, then select first here regions, and this is the zone name as you can see here. Then copy the zone name here, then guys paste in here, then press enter. This is updated successfully. Is your desired zones like US Central 1C? Guys, I'll show you now in multiple lab how to create a new Linux server or VM in multiple OS using the gcloud compute instance command. First, I'll show you the first lab for how to create a new virtual server using G-Cloud Compute Instance create command. G-Cloud Compute Instances create, then server name. Guys, as you can see here, this is the G-Cloud Compute Instance create CLI Linux Server 101. Then press enter. As you can see here, the new Windows server successfully created here. Guys, the first time the G-Cloud Compute Instance create command, you can execute inside the Cloud Shell command line interface. Then one pop-up window will be appear. Then it will asking like the default zones. Then you write Y for yes. Then press enter. Then your Linux server is created. Guys, as you can see here, the status of the Linux server is successfully created and status is running now here. Guys, let's back to the Compute Engine console portal, and as you can see here, the first new Linux server CLI Linux server 101 is successfully created. Then guys, similarly, I'll show you in multiple ways how to create a Linux server based on your customer requirement, guys. As you can see here, this is the G-Cloud Compute Instance create command. Then this is the second or new Linux server name. Then is your project ID, and this is your zone name. And suppose if you want to create a specific machine type based on your requirement, then you can write here E2 micro, large, E2 medium, N1, N1 medium, N2 medium based on your requirement. Then press enter here and wait a couple of seconds. As you can see here, guys, the CLI Linux server 102 is successfully created and the status is showing as running here. Let's back to the Compute Engine web portal and click on refresh button here. As you can see here, this is your second Linux server 102 is successfully created. Guys, as you can see here, the Linux server 101, 102 is available here. Guys, click on refresh button here. Guys, similarly, I'll show you in the lab how to create a new Linux server for your customer requirement. Guys, let's consider is your customer requirement likes you can create a new Linux server and deploy the new Linux server in a specific zone like US Central 1C, and consider a machine type is like E2 medium, and the operating system you can choose like Debian. This is your image name. Now guys, I'll show you in the lab how to write a CLI command to fulfill your customer requirement. Guys, as you can see here in the Compute Engine portal, like the CLI Linux server 101, Linux server 102 is available here only. Now I'll navigate to Cloud Shell command line interface and I'll write the command, the same command like guys, the G-Cloud Compute Instance create and create Linux server name. As you can see here, this is the CLI command, G-Cloud Compute Instance create the Linux server name here. Then as you can see here, this is your project ID, this is your zone name US Central 1C, the machine type is E2 medium, and the disk, create a new disk, the default auto delete yes as I selected here. Then image name is, as you can see here, the Debian Cloud. Then you can press enter now and wait a couple of seconds to create your new VM as per your customer requirement. Guys, as you can see here, the new Linux server CLI 103 is successfully created and the status is showing as running now. Let's navigate to the Compute Engine web portal and click on refresh button here guys. As you can see here, this is your new Linux server successfully created here. CLI Linux server 103 here. Now guys, I hope so you can understand how to create a new Linux server using CLI command in multiple ways. Like you can create a new Linux server in your default zone, and if you want to change your zone based on your customer requirement, then you can change your zone name and set is your zone in Cloud Shell command line interface. Then you can write a command like gcloud compute instance create and server name, and based on your requirement you can write like that zone, machine type, image, and then you can press enter to create a new Linux server based on your requirement. Guys, now I'll show you in the lab how to delete your VM, how to stop your VM, how to start your VM, how to resume your VM, and how to connect your new VM using CLI command. Guys, first of all I'll show you, if you want to visible all the instance lists as you have created using CLI command, then as you can see here, this is the command like gcloud compute instance list. This is the command. Then press enter. Then as you can see here, the CLI Linux server 102, 103, 101 is visible here, and you can cross check guys here in the Compute Engine web portal page. As you can see here, only 3 server is available here now, 101, 102, 103. Then if you want to stop your new VM, then use the command like gcloud compute instance stop VM name. As you can see here, gcloud compute instances stop, this is the server name. Then press enter. Now you navigate to the Compute Engine portal page, and as you can see here, this is the CLI Linux server 103 status is showing as this instance is being stopped now. Then again click the refresh button here and wait a couple of seconds. Then click on refresh button here. As you can see here, this instance is stopped, and as you can see here, the stopping instance is done successfully here using the gcloud command line interface or gcloud commands. Guys, similarly, if you want to stop your another server like CLI 101, then change the server name here. Then press enter. Then navigate to the Compute Engine web portal, click on refresh button here. As you can see here, the CLI Linux server 101 server status is showing us this instance is being stopped. It will take couple of seconds guys. Then again refresh here and navigate to the gcloud command line interface. As you can see here, this instance is stopped now. The Linux server 101, the Linux server 103. If you want to start the new server, then use the gcloud compute instance start server name. The same command, just change start, then press enter. Then navigate to Compute Engine web portal page, then click on refresh here. As you can see here, this instance is being staged and will soon begin running. Click on refresh button again. Now the status of CLI Linux server 101 server as this instance is running, and as you can see here, this CLI command successfully executed. And similarly, if you want to start the CLI Linux server 103, then press enter, then click on refresh button here guys. As you can see here, the CLI Linux server 103 status as this instance is running now. Now, if you want to suspend the new Linux server, then use the command as gcloud compute instance suspend VM name or new Linux server name. Then press enter. Suspending instance as CLI Linux server 103. Then back to the Compute Engine web portal page guys. Now you click on refresh button here. As you can see here, the status of CLI Linux server 103 as the instance is being suspended, and click on refresh button here and wait a couple of seconds. As you can see here, the instance is suspended. Now as you can see here, the suspended instance command is executed successfully. Guys, now if you want to resume the new server, then use the command as gcloud compute instance resume VM name. For an example, now you want to resume the same server CLI Linux server 103, then write the command like gcloud compute instances resume the new server name as I mentioned here, CLI Linux server 103, then press enter, then wait a couple of seconds to resume your new VM. As you can see here, then click refresh button here. As you can see here, the CLI Linux server 103 status as this instance is running now. I'll show you how to connect your new Linux server using GCP CLI command. The command as gcloud compute ssh, then is your server name. Guys, if you want to connect your new Linux server like CLI Linux server 102 using CLI command, then as you can see here, this is a simple command like gcloud compute ssh, the server name. Then guys, press enter, then press enter, then again press enter, then write y. Now as you can see here guys, now you can successfully connected to the CLI Linux server 102. Just write a Linux command like pwd. As you can see here, this is your home page, and if you want to exit the server, then write the command like exit, then press enter. Now you can successfully log out the server CLI Linux server 102. Now if you want to delete the new Linux server, then use the command as you can see here, this is the simple command gcloud compute instances delete and server name, then press enter, then write y and press enter, then navigate to the Compute Engine web portal guys, then click on refresh button here. As you can see here, the CLI Linux server 101 is successfully deleted. Similarly, if you want to delete the another Linux server like 102, then press enter, write y, then press enter and wait a couple of seconds. Click on refresh button here. As you can see here, this instance is being stopped. After couple of seconds, it terminates permanently from Compute Engine web portal. As you can see here, the Linux server 102 is successfully deleted, and similarly as you can see here, the delete command successfully executed in Cloud Shell command line interface. I hope so guys. Now you can understand how to stop the VM, how to start the VM, how to resume the VM, how to delete the VM based on your requirement. Thank you.